Those are all great songs. Tinu would have loved all of that. Thank you, everyone, for being here in attendance today. I know this is an event full of solace, but at the same time, in this event about celebrating the life of someone who made the life of everyone whom she touched better. And I know we're all feeling that while we're here today. So we know that some people who want to be in attendance today are unable to attend, and they're for various understandable reasons. But because of that, this event is being fully recorded for members of her family, for members of the community, for later preservation. So people who aren't in attendance today will still at some point have access to this recording in order to participate in this event in any way they would have wanted to, because I know Tinu would have wanted that. We also have cart services available, and we know that's been said many times, but we just want to reiterate that again for anyone who needs them. Cart services are available, and the link is being posted right now again in the chat. And we just want to make sure that everyone has the access they need. We have the breakout rooms. So I'm going to do a quick review of the rules so that no one has to ask any other questions while we're running the event. And then we'll just be moving on towards the proceeding with the program. Everyone should have the program attached to the email with your invitation. So if you have any point of reference, you'll be able to refer to that via your programs. Okay, so the rules for this event. But once again, I just want to restate that the entire event is being recorded. If you will be speaking, but you choose not to be on camera when it is your turn, please have your camera covered so that you are able to turn your camera on and be spotlighted, but remain private while you are speaking. If you are speaking and need to screen share, please let a co-host know as soon as possible if you haven't already, so that we can be prepared to have that set up and run as smoothly as possible throughout the program. You can use one of the mod breakout rooms if you need to do the communication with the co-host. If you don't know if you are speaking, you aren't. We can only accommodate the vetted speakers, and they've already been listed in the program. If you're not listed, no need to ask questions about that. There's your answer. If you need help with technical issues, like remaining or dealing with someone else in chat, like renaming or dealing with someone else in chat, please raise your hand or go into the mod breakout room. If you need help and can't access the Zoom controls or can't get a co-host attention in Zoom, please email fortinu24@gmail.com. That's FORTINU24@gmail.com, and someone will reply as soon as possible. If a co-host or a host makes a request of you during the event, please follow the request. Guests who behave in a way that shows bad intent will be removed without notice. If you have something you want to say or add in honor of Tinu, this board is for our community. I am now posting the link in chat. You can post anything you like to express and share about Tinu on this Padlet, and that's open to the entire community. Okay, so I just want to welcome everyone here today to this celebration of the life of Atinuke Abayomi Paul. She was a friend and a leader. She was a support system and a backbone to our community. She led with grace and with friendship and compassion and ferocity. And it was a privilege to all of us who were involved with or touched by her life or her work. She educated so many people on not just her own behalf, but on the behalf of our entire community, whether you are in the disability community, the Black community, the LGBTQ community. We were all so dearly important to her heart, and she dedicated every day of her life to uplifting and embracing and fortifying us. So I'm glad that we're all able to gather in the way that she had wished, to not just mourn her and grieve her together, but to celebrate the gift of her life, because she was a gift to our community. So before we move on to our speakers today, we're going to have a moment of silence for Tinu. And we're going to all do a cannabis tribute moment for anyone who would like to partake. You can light one up or eat an edible or pour one out in any way you would like to. And just celebrate our beautiful cannabis sister, who always felt that we'd help save her life and bring her so much relief and function, and really like the gift of being able to live in a way she didn't know she would be able to anymore. So, DJ Ron.
Yep.
Let's have our lighted up moment for Atinuke, please. Those were two of Tinu's favorite songs. She used to literally put on certain episodes of Rick and Morty that had those ridiculous songs in them because they would help her sleep. And so I just thought she would love that moment and it would make her smile. We're getting ready to start introducing our speakers. As you see, we have ASL providers that will be spotlighted alongside our speakers. In between the speakers, between every two speakers, the DJ will play music for a short break, and then we will continue on, simply because this is going to be a lot of speakers and it'll give us small intermissions. All right, and our DJ Ron will be announcing the speakers.
I was just saying that I was honored to have been the first one to be trusted to go after the smoke session. That's a great testament of faith from my friends. But to my script now. I would like to welcome everyone and thank you all for coming. I know some people here today who came to honor Tinu as their role model, and some others who came here for their mentor. Some of us came to pay respects to a figurehead, and still others came to help cultivate a legacy. And I recognize that each of these is a noble and worthy goal. But for me, Tinu was first and foremost a friend. And I just came here today to cope with my grief. When Tinu was in my life, I had someone who forced me to remake my birthday wish list to be less practical and include more whimsy, like glowing mushroom decor. I had someone who celebrated my weird talents by requesting them and treasuring them as gifts on special occasions. I had someone who encouraged me to know what I wanted and expect it from my relationships. Now instead, I have plans for a friend's trip that will never leave the group chat. I have handmade gifts that will never be given and unwrapped. I have an unsent text message with a question that will never be answered. And I also have a very whimsical set of mushroom-shaped nightlights, each covered in cobwebs, because I cannot now bear to pull them down from the wall, even to clean them, knowing there will be a moment when I must watch them dim in my hands. I have lost my friend and been left with chores and regrets in her place. But even in her absence, I still have her love. I have the community she helped build, the missions she helped champion, and also the confidence she helped instill in me. Putting together this service has been a labor of love, and I am glad that everyone involved and everyone gathered can now share this time. Today's service is more than a celebration of Tinu's life, but of all the ways she gifted a little light into our lives.
Thank you. And next is Alessandra Aoife.
It's Alessandra Aoife, and that's okay
I'm
because
sorry, love.
yeah, please don't worry about it. Irish is one of those languages. This is going to be a little challenging for me as I tend to speak off the cuff and not script what I want to say. Tinu wanted this service to be fully accessible, and as such, I am more than happy to have prepared the text before today. First, I would like to thank everyone who made this service happen. I've been too much of a mess to properly help. And thank you so much to May, Charis, Laura, KS, Abi, Alex, and others who made this service possible. Where do I even start talking about what a truly incredible person Tinu is? And please forgive me, I cannot use the past tense with her completely. Let's start with her name, Atinuke. It's a concept we don't have a word for in English, but it means I loved you for the moment you existed, as in the womb. I can't think of a more fitting name for Tinu. She is love. She spent her life loving people, loving her communities, getting people together, spreading the light wherever she went, and in everything she touched. I look at how much love Tinu had for so many people, people she didn't even know. This is the kind of blessing she is on this world. She loved me, and it meant so much. I remember when we first became friends. Tinu likes to meet people who are different from her, from different backgrounds and paths of life. After a few weeks, she wrote a message on my Facebook saying something to the effect of, "Now that you're my friend, I'm never going to let you get away from me." I thought this was absolutely wonderful. It's a blessing to have a friend who cares and loves you as much as you to them. Sometimes she would say, I can't believe I'm best friends with a white Jewish lady from New York City. Pardon me, New York City. I use the accent on my town like the Pace Salsa commercial. Pace Salsa being made in this country, salsa capital, which is New Jersey. We really weren't very different when it came down to it. We had similar loves in pop culture. Our desire to work for justice in all aspects are valued. How we loved those around us. Sometimes she surprised me, like her love of Gilmore Girls. In Chronic Love, she and May would always sing the theme song to each other. Will you lead? I will follow where you lead. This is the kind of friend Tinu is. We both came from families who loved us, but still understood the importance of chosen family. Like Tinu, my friends are my family. Tinu is my sister in every sense of the word. We called each other's moms mom. It was a dream of Tinu, May, and I to get our moms in a group text chat, but my mother does not text. I love her niece and nephews like they are my own, her wonderful siblings and her entire family. I could speak for hours about the great works Tinu was constantly doing, even when feeling her absolute worst. Not enough can be said of this. There are not enough praises for making her body of work. She was always spreading awareness about various issues, trying to help people in all ways, doing the loving work of mutual aid. Tinu has helped so many people survive hardship, some of the hardest times in their lives. She makes sure people are housed, fed, clothed, have access to medical care and transportation. She never stopped, ever. In Judaism, when someone passes away, we say their memory should be for a blessing. Tinu's memory is always already a blessing, has already been a blessing. The work she did was a blessing. Who she is a blessing then and now. She has always been deservedly beloved and will always be as such. Tinu's passing is impossibly hard for so many of us who love her so much. I feel her presence strongly. I did on that Thursday and Friday before I got the call from Brooke. She had texted her friends on that Wednesday that she was alive. I didn't understand the message we got from her at the time. I felt her with me on walks, watching shows I always talked to her about, but which she did not watch. What do we do now? It kills me I'll never be able to talk to her, see her again, hear her wonderful laugh again. Her absence is one of the most painful experiences of my life, next to losing my dad and my grandparents who were like second parents to me. I feel lost like so many of you. How do we honor such a wonderful person like Tinu? What could we possibly do to even try to attempt this? Carry on her work, which is our work. We know as disabled people that the only people who care about us are us. The only people who will work for change for the issues and challenges we face are us. Keep speaking out about important issues. Keep doing mutual aid. Keep on helping on macro and micro levels. Keep going. Her passing has already made some of us even more driven to work for change. I need to mention this, as unpleasant as it is. I have painful rage at Tinu's passing. I don't know if I will ever stop being this angry. Tinu and us watched so many of our community members who were in need of housing, medical care, food, and other necessities pass before their time because they were in need. Tinu was never able to consistently access the chemo pills when that was her treatment regimen. That why she's not here. That is why she's not here with us in corporeal form. I rage at the state of Texas and this country's healthcare system, who I hold solely responsible for her death. A state where one cannot access Medicaid unless one makes a certain amount of money. A state where insurance can gouge you for life-saving treatment as much as they please, then drop your coverage on a whim. This is what Tinu was facing. I know you're angry too. I know you feel this rage as well. What do we do with this extremely painful anger? Act with love, always. But let this rage set a fire under you to keep going, keep fighting. Sorry.
Right.
All right, keep working to help others as Tinu did and would want you to keep going. Demand more from this country. Hold Texas responsible, because how many other Tinus are there suffering right now in Texas, in the US? Let it be fuel for you to keep working for change. I was already driven to change the way so many are treated in this country and the world, but now I'm even more driven. Let this be the same for you. But you are not alone in this work. Tinu was a force in our communities, and she knew how to bring people together. She knew she would pass. She knew we would be left scrambling. She knew this and set things up so we would be in this all together, not driven by ego, driven by the knowledge that we need to help others always, that we need to heal this world. Please take solace in the fact that we are together, united. Despite our differences, we have the same goals. Let us be driven by Tinu's work and work for change together. We can do great things in numbers. Let that be some comfort for you. It is no coincidence we are all here today. Tinu brought us together, brought us here. Tinu brought us together. Keep being here for each other. Keep being here for those you don't know. We can do this together for Tinu. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Raedy Ping.
I just wanted to read a very brief poem that helps me think about grief. I'll just paste it in the chat for accessibility. So this is called A Meeting in a Park. It's by Wendell Berry, and he's a poet from Kentucky. Here's how it goes. In a dream, I meet my dead friend. He has, I know, gone long and far, and yet he is the same, for the dead are changeless. They grow no older. It is I who have changed, grown strange to what I was. Yet I, the changed one, ask, how you been? And he grins and looks at me. I've been eating peaches off some mighty fine trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jessica Jimino.
Hi. It's really hard to speak about Tinu because I've been on grief autopilot the past few weeks, but I was trying to figure out, what to say today. And there were just like two words that come to mind when I think of Tinu, and one is love, and the second one is justice. So, the thing about living with long COVID, arguably the hardest part is this thing called post-exertional malaise. So you wake up without energy and you go to bed without energy. And then when you exert yourself, for example, working or even doing pleasant things, you crash and you pay for it. And it's this cycle. And yet somehow Tinu managed to love so many people and be there for so many of us. She was always there to encourage you verbally, via text, if you needed her. And she had this endless supply of love, despite pain, despite lack of energy. She was always there for people. She touched countless lives. And I'm really in awe of that when I look at all of you in the Zoom room. And again, I'm kind of underselling it. There's really no words to describe what this is. Really saying lack of energy is like not adequate. But the second word that comes to mind when I think of Tinu is justice. Despite these physical health problems, she really fought for a more just world. In the summer of 2022, Tinu and I were fighting to reinstate mask mandates in San Francisco public transit. We worked with Senior and Disability Action, and we won. We had a lot of opposition, and they reinstated mandates for an additional 6 months after removing them. And I remember at the time a family member said, "What are you doing? You don't live in San Francisco." And the thing is, I live in Illinois and Tinu lives in Texas. But what we understood was that human rights are human rights anywhere, wherever they are. And that even if we directly never benefited from the change in those policies, they could still help other people, maybe spare them the pain of knowing what it's like to have long COVID or, other negative consequences of getting this virus. And so, unfortunately, the policies where Tinu lived didn't change. And she was forced to be treated by medical staff that were not masked. But I know she would agree that the time we spent doing what we did was worth it, even if we would not personally benefit from the fruits of our labor. And I think that's such a great example to remember as we struggle with our grief in the days, weeks, and years ahead. I agree with everything that Aoife said earlier. She said it so well. There were a lot of unjust policies are responsible for this, but it's also, to remember when I think of Tinu, I'll try my best to keep fighting to change these unjust systems. And yeah, that's just, what I think of when I think of Tinu is love and her endless supply of love and compassion and justice, that she told it like it was, even if it was unpopular. And she really believed in fighting for everyone's rights, even if we don't benefit from those changes in our time or where we are. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is, I'm sorry, Brooke Crume. I'm sorry, young lady.
Hello. Sorry, taking a breath. Oh, and my cat's walking on my keyboard. What a great way to start that out. Let's not do that. Hello, if you don't know me, my name is Brooke. I go by Zen Meow on social media mostly. I met Tinu before the pandemic started, and I had the privilege of being local to Tinu here in Texas. And we met on disability Twitter, like I'm sure a lot of us did. We were immediately drawn to each other, and I immediately respected her so much. And then once we found out we were local, we got to love each other up close. And keep it together, Brooke. That will forever be one of the greatest privileges of my life. Because the closer that you got to love Tinu, the more you saw how incredible she was. The more you saw her character shine through. The more you saw how real she was on every single level. If you guys are here, then you obviously know about her generosity, and her love for community care, and how if she had $100 in her pocket, 20 to 40 bucks of that was going to keep somebody fed that day. She was always taking care of her community and her family and her friends and the people that she loved. She was the single most generous person I think I've ever met. But also, I think the second greatest privilege in knowing Tinu was getting the opportunity to laugh with her, because she was so goddamn funny and she was so clever and she was so quick and witty. And inside of that talent for making people laugh and feel loved and cared for, she was also so wise, as most of you know. And my favorite thing about Tinu was listening to her stories. She always had a great story, and there was always a lesson that she learned in the middle of it that was always so relevant and exactly what I needed to hear. She always knew. She always knew what I needed to hear. And I used to joke with her sometimes that I needed her permission to feel something. Because any thought that I had, any feeling that I had, if I voiced it to her, she would immediately return with a reciprocation and empathy, yes, but also just a more evolved and wise take on whatever it was that I was thinking about or dealing with or pondering, you know, because she wasn't just a tech genius. She wasn't just like, she wasn't just successful in all of the, you know, white paper ways that like she had to be to survive in the world, but like she was just wise. Her soul had comfort and wisdom and care weaved into every fiber of it. She used to say that in order to give freely, she had to take freely, which meant that she had to, you know, accept donations in the same frequency as she gave them out. But she was like that, not just with money or with anything tangible. She was like that with her time, and she was like that with her love. And no matter how much harassment she received, no matter how much the system just relentlessly went at her, she remained so kind and loving and made it an active point to love with a force and to not let the world and this system and America and Texas and fucking Greg Abbott kill off that part of her. And it was there till the day that she died. And I got to hug her about a week before she went. And part of being someone that got to love her up close, to be completely honest with you guys, is that I saw her decline. I saw how sick she was. I was in a heavy level of denial because I just didn't want her to go. And I'll never have wanted her to go. I don't want her to be in pain, but I do want to tell like a short story because I'm emotional and it's kind of funny, and I didn't know if I was going to tell this or not. I wanted to see what the vibes were going to be today, but I feel like most people here will laugh too. So this is slightly vulgar, but just to like give you an idea of the kind of humor that Tinu had and the connection that we had. Our highly affectionate nickname for each other, and May as well, was Bitch Ho. She also called me Heifer a lot. And that's terms of affection, that's love. But we also used Bitch Ho as an adjective for things. So when she would just randomly send me some money that I was like, that's for your cancer treatment. Bitch Ho, what are you doing? She goes, well, you didn't tell me how much you were needing. So I just sent you a bitch hoe amount. Like, that makes it okay. Like, you could just toss those out. Anyway, she was just so she was so funny. And I'll obviously cherish stuff like that forever. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it brief. I like to yap, and we were supposed to do a podcast, Tinu and I, and that didn't happen. So anyway, I'm sorry. So I saw her decline, unfortunately. And since I was able to meet her in person, we were friends before COVID started, but we didn't meet in person until after COVID started, but her cancer had not returned yet. And another like small story that I'd love to share with you guys too is that the reason that we started hanging out and becoming friends is because we met in person and hung out in person one like random day, early 2020. And then the very next day, I had a dermatology appointment at the Parks Mall in Arlington. And if you know anything about where Tinu lived and where I lived at the time, Arlington, it is a massive mall and nobody goes there if they want to. It's so busy and it's not fun. And I had an appointment, and she was there doing, I think, back to school shopping with Michael and Michaela. And I'm walking through the food court about to leave to go to my car. And we're just wearing surgical masks at the time because, you know, we had no idea what was coming for us, obviously. But I'm walking through the food court and I look over and see the three of them and scream, "Oh my God," because I couldn't believe I was seeing them after just meeting her in person for the first time the day before. And there's 2 million people in Tarrant County, by the way. It's just bizarre, right? And she obviously turns around and sees me and goes, "Ah!" And then we like hug and scream and freak out, and everyone in the food court is like, but we used to talk about that all the time because we used to say that the universe wanted us to be connected and wanted us to be friends. And she became so much more than my friend. She was my mentor. She hired me to be her assistant for a while. Like, I got to meet her incredible family that she loved so much. And I got to see the things she held on to from her life and her beautiful traditional gowns and all of the things that made Tinu Tinu. And like I said earlier, just the closer you got and the more ingredients that you saw and the more pieces to the puzzle, you understood how she was the way that she was. I'm almost done, I promise. Last thing I kind of wanted to do is I decided to be really brave last night, and I decided to go through all of our text messages because I was avoiding doing so because it was really painful, obviously. And I saved a lot of things, and I laughed and I cried, and seeing the progression of our friendship, the times when we called each other in, the times when we gave each other love and empathy and patience, the time when I was so annoying and irritating and she didn't care or would match my energy so that I wouldn't feel alone. To obviously, you know, seeing our last conversations and how often we text each other just to say that, you know, I love you. I'm so thankful that I have those now. But there were a couple things that I felt comfortable sharing with you guys that she had sent me. Because obviously a lot of this I'm going to keep, you know, for myself and for her and her dignity and respect. But there were a couple things I think that she would be comfortable with me sharing. But I'm so sorry, excuse me. This was, I think, in 2021, 2022. And Tinu said, "Here's some peer counseling. Feel free to ignore it. You have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to choose who to help. You have the right to only help yourself. You have the right to help yourself first. Mutual aid is solidarity, not charity. Therefore, it is community-based. If a person is not acting with the interests of the community at heart, you have every right not to include them in your solidarity, because they have decided that they're not a part of the community by their actions, and it's not your job to worry about them. Sometimes you have to choose between coddling one person and helping several dozen. And in my opinion, helping more people who will help more people is always the right decision. Obviously, I was struggling with community management and leadership and questions of how do I navigate really hard dynamics in community. And that's the kind of stuff she would respond with, you know? And in person, it would be even like more, like there were so many times when we'd be talking in person that I'd stop and go, Tinu, oh my God. Oh my God, I wish I would have wrote that down. That was so good. She was just so... Anyway, and then the other one that I saved to show you, this is a random text in 2023. I said, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I love you. And she responded a couple hours later, because that's how we texted, was every response was like 2 to 6 to 24 to 48 hours later. And that's just how we rolled. Tinu said, you can smile and do that bold and reckless, but ultimately harmless thing in your mind that will make you happy. I have no idea what it is, but do the thing. And I said, how did you know? And she said, I have no idea. I just work here. Oh, I can't read you what she said after that. It's inappropriate, but it's funny, but I can't read it to you. Sorry. Oh, goodness. Okay. In closing, thank you for listening, and thank you for hearing my stories and letting me share this with you guys. I was more vulnerable than I kind of thought I was going to be. I talked more than I like to yap. The final thing is I'd like to just quickly touch on what you can do to carry on her legacy. Love harder, care more, mask more, wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough. But also, be generous, continue to give. Don't lose hope in community care and in the change that we can do together and the things that we can build together. Everybody in here right now and everybody listening was affected by Tinu in some way. And I truly believe that her legacy lives on in that, in the tens of thousands of people that know of her and have been impacted by her, even if they don't know. I can't even tell you how many people in my personal life owe so many things to Tinu and they don't know. I owe my life to Tinu. Oh, I'm almost done. But she chose her people well, and I know the bonds that I've made through Tinu, and that the people I had to lean on to get through this, the people I had to call and tell them that she was gone, the people I sat and sobbed with for several minutes. Those are bonds that will never go anywhere. They didn't die with her. They won't die with me. That's community. That's solidarity. That's love. That's real love. And I didn't mind for a second that I had to be the person to do that. I was more than happy to take that on, by the way. I'm thankful for that opportunity, that I had that. with you. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I had in going through her belongings and cleaning out her room and loving her family. And I wouldn't change a single goddamn thing. I would have loved to hug her one more time, but I said everything I needed to say, and she knew how much I loved her. And so that's what you can also do in her honor. Send the text, say the thing, smile, and do the bold and reckless, but ultimately harmless things in your mind that will make you happy. Lean on each other, love each other, be gentle with yourself. Don't overdo it. Rest. Remember her and honor her in that. Aggressively rest. Yeah. Thank you guys.
So our next speaker is Faatima Vaser.
Hi. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. My name is Faatima, or Fatty the Street, and I'm gonna read a poem for Tinu. Before I start, I just wanted to say that I've been in the disability community on Twitter for some years now, and in the last year, my long COVID developed in such a way that I became completely bedbound, and I lost a lot of contact with people. But I got strength from doing mutual care work and talking about Palestine and COVID. Earlier this year, my roommate suddenly just became viciously ableist, and my home became dangerous, and I have agoraphobia. So it was really tough. And Tinu saw my posts and helped me to realize that I needed to leave for my health and safety. And she helped me organize to get money so that I could do that. And she saved my life. And my favorite thing about her is that she was so loved, and she was so courageous to be loved. You know, it's hard to reach out to people. It's really scary. But she was fearless. And I remember when it was her birthday, I was too scared to go to the party. But I saw the pictures, and it made me so happy to see how loved she was, to see somebody like me be so celebrated and supported. You know, like, disabled Black women, we don't get the spotlight. But Tinu was the spotlight. So this is Maya Angelou's In and Out of Time. The sun has come, the mists have gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have. You were always mine. We have loved each other in and out of time. When the first stones looked up at the blazing sun, and the first tree struggled up from the forest floor, I have always loved you more. You freed your braids, gave your hair to the breeze. It hung like a hive of honeybees. I reached in the mask for the sweet honeycomb there. God, how I love your hair. You saw me bludgeoned by circumstance, lost, injured, hurt by chance. I screamed to the heavens, loudly screamed. trying to change our nightmares into dreams. The sun has come, the mists have gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have, and you were always mine. We loved each other. In and out, in and out, in and out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Tiara Simmons.
Okay. I put this in the chat, but I realized like I'm wearing a bright color, and it was by happenstance because it's what I grabbed. And I remembered a time they were over text where Tinu had admonished me, as we say in the courtroom, because I always wear such dark colors, black and browns and dark blues and things like that. And so, you know, she would say to me, no, like if you're not going to feel the joy, wear the joy. And bright colors were representative of joy. It was basically fake it till you make it kind of thing, right? Under this handle, 4-Wheel Workout, I've been on Twitter since about 2013. And it started as me tracking, you know, my weight loss journey and being healthy and, oh, look at the disabled girl doing things that you don't expect her to do kind of thing. And slowly but surely I became I was introduced to the disability community on there. And one of the people, one of them who introduced me was Tinu. And it was just more so along the lines, it was a follow Friday, actually. So we met super randomly from a follow Friday. If anyone remembers when we used to do that online. And then she, you know, introduced me to some of the, what I call the sub communities, right? Disabled Black girls and, you know, comic books, and, you know, because she found out I used to collect comic books. And so slowly but surely, you know, I start meeting people individually, and a lot of you are in here today, and that's so comforting, right? Not that I was worried about people being here, but it's just comforting to see the people that she is responsible for me knowing, these groups. I had her on my list of first friends, you know, and I don't use that term freely or lightly. And she was among some of the first people, one of the first people that I, from, you know, online, that I said was my friend, capital F, capital friend. I'm not about to spell all that out. My brain isn't there. I ate an edible. And I took that to heart. And a part of it is because she called me her friend. And she helped me learn how to trust the people that really are part of my community, because I'm coming out of, you know, a world where you had to be on the ground for anything to matter. Your protests were in person. Your meetings were in person. Everything you had to do had to be on the ground. And I remember her DMing me one day because I said something that was probably internalized ableism. And she DM'd me and she goes, you know that we're disabled, so it's okay for us to be online. We don't care about those people who make fun of people being online. And I said, oh, wow, that's true. Online is one of the few places that are accessible. No stairs, no steep hills. And she said, yeah, because we create it this way for us, talking about our community. And when I got pregnant with Bean, you know, she was amongst the group of people who would, you know, listen to my silly pregnancy stories and food cravings. And she was amongst one of the first people from my online community that I texted and said, hey, Bean is here. And from that moment, it was like I had another sister-in-law and Bean had another aunt, and all these years have been passing where, you know, if it wasn't for Tinu and even some other people, but especially her, I would not have this community. I would still be in this ableist mindset that I had to earn rest, you know, and that I couldn't ask for help. People want to help those who help themselves. And one of the first times I had to ask for mutual aid, you know, she DM'd me, she saw something I wrote online, and she DMs me and she says, "Hey, do you have mutual aid?" Community sharing is actually what she called it. I'm looking at the message right now. Community sharing. And I said, "What in the world is that?" And she goes, "Ask for donations." I'm not asking random strangers for donations. She goes, "Okay, but is your light bill paid?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Then stop being hard-headed." And I was like, oh, that's one of the DMs I will always keep. I'm going to screenshot it and save it because she told me off in a few words, you know, like it's okay to ask for help. And I did that. And she reposted. And anytime that I posted something that, you know, that was I need donations, she reposted, knowing full well she needed donations too. And I asked her about that, especially in the last few years. I said, "Girl, please take care of yourself first." And she goes, "Okay, but then how am I going to take care of you?" And I said, "Wait, what?" This was actually probably about this time last year. And I was like, "What are you talking about? Take care? You can't take care of yourself because you're taking care of us?" And she goes, that was part of her taking care of herself, included taking care of others. And that's selfless, right? I'm trying to thug this out. So if I'm looking super animated, it's because I'm trying to thug this out. I don't know many people who would put others before them, even in their own time of need. And that's that selflessness that I strive for. I don't have that selflessness, but I strive for that. I put this online already, so some of you have already seen it. One of the last times that we spoke was in text. And you know, it was after Bean's birthday. And I took a picture of him looking at the box because he wasn't playing it with it yet, but with the gift that she had sent him, and didn't even tell me that she was sending him something. It just showed up. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I found out later, of course, because I peeked, that it was from her. And, you know, one of the little jokes that we had was how, like, we just know Bean is one of us. He's an ND, right? We just know. And we would joke like, yeah, you know, now he can see all the germs that he wants to avoid, or, you know, just the things. It's a toy microscope. And I told her that she didn't have to do that. And she goes, "You better not return it." And I said, "Okay, but you didn't have to. Like, what about your kids?" And she says, "Don't worry about them. This is for my nephew. This is his day." And how do you argue about that? Like, how do you argue with someone who just wants to do what you hear somebody in the background who just wants to do right by you and just wants to take care of the people around you? And she loves this. She loves, you hear me speaking in present tense? She loved this little boy like he was part of her own family. You know, he was always my nephew, my nephew. She's actually one of the few people who know his real name because of that trust level. I'm also mad at her. When it's my turn, she and I are going to meet up and we are going to fight because she never gave me the recipe. All I ever wanted and asked for was her jollof recipe. Yeah. And I'm like, so the fight is really not that serious. And we used to all, you know, sometimes text back and forth or sometimes in the DM. We would text at the most random intervals about something food related because she knows that I like to try out different things. And I posted on TikTok a picture of me making something, Puerto Rican arroz con gandules. And she goes, "Oh, if you just did this and that and the other, you would have jollof." And I'm like, it's not the same. I brought that up because she's not here anymore for us to just do the random, and it could be a month or two in between messages. It did not matter. The love was still there. The jokes were still there. She's not here for us right now anymore, but she is. In Yoruba, the word for ancestor, because that's what Tinu is now, is Ara Orun, Araorun. And it means a person in the realm of the ancestors. That's where she's living now. Tinu's not, well, as a person on earth, yes, she is gone, but we know where she is. She's in the realm of the ancestors, her ancestors, diaspora ancestors. I will figure out her recipe one day, but she and I are going to still fight when I get to the realm of the ancestors. We're still going to fight. Someone's drinking or thinking he's drinking my coffee, but he's not. Thank you for letting me speak. This has been a journey. It has been an experience because one of the last people that I was, cool with like that, or, even close to, it was Erin, who was teaching me about medical law and all these things. And I would try to use that in my online advocacy when I'm online. And I always knew that there were people that I can just say, "Hey, let me bounce this idea off of you." And Tinu was one of those people. Strangers at that time. "Let me bounce this off of you." And she said, "Okay. Hey, I want to write some children's books. Let me bounce this idea off of you." Okay. And she gave me that time and that space, even though she needed time and space, which is why it was never weird for us, for me to hear from her after like weeks or even a couple of months of not texting, or the same. And we never expected each other to text back immediately. We always had the text message, "Hey, no need to reply right now," but whatever the message was. Giving people time and space. And the organizers who put this together, thank you for continuing that legacy. And to the people who are here as guests, we have a legacy we need to continue in our own ways. And that's being here for each other and making time and space and trying to be selfless. We have a role model. We have an ancestor, all of us. That's it. Because I'm not going to thug it out no more. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Sarah Renee.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second, or as Tinu would tell me, hold on to your butts to pull up what I wrote down, because I cannot go off the cuff or I will just start crying. I also think it was perfect that I come right after Tiara, because a lot of the things that a lot of you were saying, but specifically Tiara, about ancestors and jollof rice was in my speech. Auntie, bestie, sister, guardian, teacher, cousin, mentor, mom, ally, friend, protector, advocate, family, empress. At some point in our time knowing Tinu, she has been one, if not multiple, of these things to us. It feels surreal that I'm giving a speech in honor of Tinu. I feel like I'm waiting for her to sign on to Zoom with a joke and have her contagious laughter at any minute. I just keep waiting for that knock on my door. I remember when I first met Tinu, or I should say when Tinu first reached out to me. I had been following her on Twitter for a few years because I admired how much she'd done in the disability and chronic illness and social justice space. I was still kind of a little bit newish into my patient advocacy, being a migraine advocate, but a little nervous and not as outspoken. I was just tweeting into the void, talking about my experience. And I was in this transitionary period between coming off being laid off from a previous job and struggling job searching to find a full-time job with health benefits. I ran into some financial issues connected to medical expenses, as unfortunately a lot of us in our community know and experience. And I tweeted what I thought into the void, my frustrations about not being able to make some bill or something. And Tinu responded back saying she could help by asking her followers to donate money to help me with expenses. I thought, why is this person spending time on little old me? I knew at that point about like mutual aid, but to actually be on the receiving end of Tinu's own personal work, striving to support disabled and chronically ill communities, especially Black and Brown communities, was something I can't explain as anything other else is love. Um, Tinu and I kept in touch via Twitter, and our friendship grew from there. Every message or tweet that I ever received from her was full of love, humor, knowledge, or all three wrapped in one. I don't think I'm the only one who would open up their Twitter feed each morning, afternoon, or evening and catch up on what Tinu was saying or sharing. I ended up getting much closer to Tinu in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, especially after the murder of George Floyd. During a time of much despair, anger, hurt, and betrayal, Tinu was there, not afraid to be her unapologetic self, calling out truths, and also uplifting the voices and experiences of Black, chronically ill, and disabled people. More than a few times even, Tinu would come to my defense from homophobic or racist trolls attacking my account, as I know she did for so many others. Being queer, Black, chronically ill, and a transracial adoptee, I would often feel out of place or not heard. But Tinu always took the time to listen and validate my experience and was always willing to learn, especially from experience, like situations and experiences she didn't know much about. I love that about her. She also represented a connection to a culture that I did not have a chance to grow up in. She gave me the confidence to continue sharing my story. She just made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. And she always wanted the best for you. She was always taking care of her community at most times with energy she didn't have. Some of you may know me. I work at the Global Healthy Living Foundation doing health equity work. And I don't think I would be working there without Tinu, as she was the one who not only encouraged me to work here, but has enthusiastically supported my work and projects here. When Tinu caught COVID in 2022 and ended up in the hospital fighting for her life, I know we were all terrified at that time that she might not make it. When she pulled through, I was relieved, and was able to share her experience. And when she was able to share her experience with me, I was angry and horrified for what she had went through, and also for how many people were so quick to stop masking when it almost cost my friend her life. I worked with my team at GHLF just to make sure her story got told, and we published Tinu's Testing COVID Positive, My Experience as a Black Disabled Immunocompromised Woman article, which sits as part of her legacy, but also a painful reminder that we must do better. I feel honored that I had the opportunity to work together with my friend on multiple work projects, from patient councils to creaky chats, but also just someone I could reach out to for advice, or if I was experiencing a little bit of imposter syndrome. She always encouraged me to take up space. When I expressed to her in 2020, amidst all the anti-Blackness and racism that and when I expressed to her in 2020, amidst all the anti-Blackness and racism, that we needed a safe space for our Black, disabled, and chronically ill folks to exist, she said 100%. And we created the Disabled Black Talk hashtag shortly after, followed by a group chat together. And it turned into something really beautiful and connected me to so many of you. Like most of us, Tinu was someone who we didn't need to physically meet in person to love, to be loved by her, or be impacted by her. You could feel her love, kindness, and passion right through the screen. When I found out on the 29th that Tinu passed away, it was my birthday, and I felt like I could feel my heart break. I've been reflecting a lot about her life, her impact, and all the wisdom that she shared with us during her short time here. Tinu and I would chat and connect about Black Panther, Wakanda, and the ancestral plane. One of Tinu's articles that has stuck with me was The King and Lies, which was about the death of Chadwick Boseman, the ableism that came along with it, and the connections to the trauma and slavery of why Black people feel grief differently and strongly. Many things resonated with me in that piece, as well as the parallels that I can't quite shake. Tinu wrote, "It is fitting, then, that when one of the few figures we unanimously love dies, we feel the collective trauma of having yet another soul stolen, particularly in this pandemic year, when so many of ours are dying neglected deaths in a broken healthcare system. This pain was therefore louder and deeper when Chadwick Boseman died." I remember how I felt when I found out he died. It hurt. I didn't know him, but I knew the effect he had on me and the hope that he gave to the entire Black community. Multiply that times a million when I found out that our sweet Tinu had passed on. For me and the Black, disabled, and chronically ill community, she was our empress, a real live Black Panther, a pillar, an anchor, a protector. In that same piece, Tinu also mentioned that Chadwick was writing a love letter to us with his art by picking roles in his final years that portrayed important historical Black figures or the loftiest representations of who our fictional characters could be. I don't think Tinu ever realized it, but she was also writing a love letter to us, to our community, with every tweet, every article, every podcast, every mutual aid boost. She cared and fought for her community so hard, yet she still felt that she wasn't doing enough. Tinu, I don't know if I have the words to express how grateful I am for you. I'm sorry we didn't get enough time for us to connect about the Nigerian culture that I lost due to being adopted, that you so graciously and lovingly wanted to share with me through Yoruba words and your family recipes like egusi and jollof rice. And if anyone has any jollof rice recipes, please hit me up. I will always remember when she told me that she had started to move from saying I'm sorry to forgive me when it comes to messaging back and forth, which is something in the chronic illness community we don't really hold it's different when we message. It didn't matter how much time went in between messages or tweets. There was always an understanding and love. Thank you to this beautiful community that has shown up and shown out for Tinu. Out of this tragedy, I see a little light, and that is all of us who have been impacted by her. We are Tinu's garden. She was the sunlight and the water, and we are her seeds of hope. As T'Challa said, in my culture, death is not the end. It is more of a stepping off point. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Abi Oyewole.
Hi,
How you doing, young lady?
I'm good. So my name is Abby, also known as BB, BB cosplays and BB pins. Oh, it's gonna be hard. Tinu was so kind, wise and funny. I would say we became friends, and I can't remember when, but it's been years. I remember I was new to disability community, and I was struggling. I was being harassed heavily. If it wasn't for Tinu, I wouldn't still be alive. There wouldn't be BB pins. You know, like she was there for me. Um, she was there for everyone. I remember I would sometimes give her money to help her with her medical costs. And then she'll tell me that, oh yeah, I'm gonna give $40 to this person so they can eat. She was also so kind. Like she needed all the help she could get, but she always gave to others. Um, yeah. I remember I made, I think if you can see it. So I made this pins and like stickers for her, for Tinu. I decided to make a pin because I want something that people can wear to remember her and think of her. I wanted to raise money to help save her. And I'm glad at least I can sell the pins now to help get money for her family. It's been very hard. It's been very hard because the pin means so much to her. Like I remember I gave her like a few pins and then she gave them all away. And then she messaged me like, Abby, can I have more pins? Like because she didn't have any for herself. She's always the kind of person that always give to others, really. She always thought about others. She taught me that community is not just your friends, it's other people with the same goals as you. Like, because if it's only your friend, that's just a clique. She taught me to help people, even if we don't get along, as long as they, represent certain values within the community. I'm grateful that she was my friend. Like I wouldn't, like I've said already, I wouldn't be here without her. I was in such a dark place when I was getting bullied. I was new to disability. I was getting very sick. This was before I was on my meds. And she always believed in me. Like she was the person I would go to excited, like all excited about new products that I designed. Like I'm wearing my IV UDIs right now, and I designed them because of Tinu. She was going through cancer treatments, and I wanted her to wear something that keep her warm while she's having her chemotherapy. I wanted her to have something that that would make things a bit easier for her. Um, I wanted her to be happy. And when she asked me to make them in black, I was like, yes, I got you. uh, like, I I used to talk to her we try to talk every Friday. Um, like she was like family to me. This I like in my life, I had a aunt named Tinu as well that also died tragically. So it really hurt when Tinu died because it was the second Tinu in my life that I lost. That was like a mother to me. And yeah, she she was beyond kind. Even when she was being harassed and people would call her a fraud and all this other awful things, she she tried to be strong. Um, she shouldn't have ever dealt with that. You know, she shouldn't have been harassed. She was a human being, and honestly, I'm really mad that people could say these things about her, could harass her, harass me, and those are close to her, um, over her just trying to survive and help others. Like, she gave more than she took. She taught me what it meant to be kind. She taught me what community was. I learned about mutual aid because of her. Like, I wouldn't be able to do all the things I've done if it wasn't for Tinu. She taught me what it meant to mutual aid. She taught me it was okay to ask for help. She taught me it was okay to give. She taught me that it was okay to have boundaries about who I gave to. It was okay to take care of myself. And it was, yeah. Yeah, she's forever gonna be my heart. And I'm so grateful that she was my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Layla Allen.
Hi, my name is Layla. You guys might know me from Twitter. Lay Magdalene. I was talking to my roommate how this is like very much like seeing everybody speak is very lovely, and also like I know so many of you from Twitter and admire you so much. But yeah, I don't remember when Tinu and I started following each other, but when I was going through an awful time on Twitter in March, suddenly this person like larger than life came to my defense. And yeah, I can only describe Tinu as abundance. And she was just the loveliest person I've had the opportunity to know. I'm gonna read a short poem, soon, but very much inspired me to do mutual aid and crowdfunding, because if I'm going to have a platform on Twitter, I think that's the least I can do. And it's very, I can't even describe it how much it means to me, seeing how much she was loved and people who got to know her in person. So yeah. So I didn't title this poem, but it's a spoken word piece. Okay. We leave a piece of ourselves when we transition, because what else are we supposed to do when we can't hold their hands, hear their giggle, wipe their tears from their cheeks when they don't have the strength to do so? Some like to say we entered this world alone and we will leave this world alone, but this is simply not true. Hands cradle our whole being and celebrate our screaming as breath fills our lungs each and every time. This breath is never silence. It screams of joy, grief, love, righteous anger, echo throughout the universe, and become a part of everyone we touch. So with this breath, I'll say this. Even though this veil separates us, we can at least sit side by side and count the days, hours, and seconds until we can breathe the same air in a new world where no harm can ever come to us again. But until then, you can carry this piece of me, my breath, and continue to treat me and others like me with the care this world was too reluctant to give. So yeah, I don't want to get too emotional, but I'm very, I was younger to her, call me a baby a lot. And one time when she messaged me and gave me money because I was missing work because it was causing me chest pains, she said that she would not have to worry because when she did leave this world, there would be Layla's around. And I don't know if it was too juvenile or whatever, but I didn't dismiss the message, but I said that she's going to live. So, and maybe is that hope? And I think it's fine speaking to her, speaking of her in present tense, because she is very much still with us. And the least we can do is continue the work. So, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kiyun Kim.
So I don't want to like overstate, my relationship with Tinu because, I was fortunate to be in her orbit and we were mutuals on social media and I wanted to reach out to her, but I never worked up the courage, and I really wish that I had. But when I heard of her passing, I don't know, I felt compelled to share a song that has been kind of helping me through grief. It's The Parting Glass, and specifically the version, I'm sorry if you can hear my cat in the background, the version sung by the Wailing Jennies, and I think it's appropriate for Tinu because it talks about, a life well lived and I think encourages the kind of love that she gave to so many people. And just celebrating that togetherness, I think. Oh, all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, all the comrades that e'er I've had are sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I've had would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all. I just hope that also gives some healing to everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Camille Hollis.
All right, so first I want to say thank you to the opportunity to speak and memorialize Tinu's bright presence on social media with her efforts to, support and educate and advocate for others. I don't have that much time to talk, so I'm going to do it as much as I can with like 3 threads that she herself reshared before she passed. So I feel like it's important and stuff that she wanted people to read or hear. So the first thread of Tinu's that I would like to share is about sleep and rest. She says, "Start praising yourself for sleeping. I used to berate myself for waking up past 10, even though that usually meant I only slept 4 to 6 hours. Ever since I set a sleep goal of 8 hours and started considering that success instead of being awake at a certain hour, I'm much happier." The second thread is on individualism and racism in capitalism, which was a clear part of her advocacy for our community. She asked, "Why does capitalism or white supremacy care about you being an individual? then tells us groups are harder to gaslight and control unless that group is reinforcing capitalist and white supremacist programming. Working cooperatively lessens their power. Working outside the prescribed systems lessens their power. Fixing your problems as a community lessens what they can promise you. Marginalized folks won't get safety nets for free. This was why she was so compelled to intertwine our communities together to support one another. In the final thread, she talks about doing what you can. She knew that sometimes fighting feels hopeless because we come from instant gratification programming. It hurts that it takes months or years to get help for ongoing emergencies and genocides. She also said, we are saving who we can as much as we can, and that some of us can't do anything and have to focus on saving ourselves or doing smaller jobs, but there really aren't smaller jobs. You still mean everything to the people you put your heart into. She said this as she mourned with us over the people we couldn't save. Senseless, painful deaths of brilliant, exceptional people, ordinary folks with giant hearts, kind people who never bothered anyone, in her own words. And now we devastatingly mourn her too. Now that she's gone, we have to honor her and keep helping each other. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Terri Smith.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I didn't know Tinu personally. I knew her on Twitter and we DM sometimes. Our birthdays were one day apart, not the same year, and we had the same chart, the same sun sign, the same moon sign, the same rising sign. And I recall squeeing when she followed me, just because I respected her so much. And what she did and the generosity that she opened up in people that will continue. I'm reading a poem. It's One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour back spent. The art of losing. Is it hard to master? Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and wherever you met to travel. None of these things will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and Baster some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love. I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Audrey Sutton.
All right. Arrange myself for Atinuke. I wasn't really sure what I was gonna say, but one time when I was, feeling really low and things weren't going well, she, sent me a message and was like, if you ever really need to get away or you need me, here's my address. We'll have to share, my bed, but you can come if you really need to. And that I knew that it really showed how much she cared. And honestly, I can't remember actually how or when she came into my life exactly. definitely pre-COVID, so at least 5 or more years. It's just, logging into the Chronic Loaf stream just is habit, talking almost every day on it, checking in on each other. And even now she's still kind of finding ways to remind me, to say how much, she loved me. Even now, I keep with the stuff with the arrangements for this and the phone call from May and all of that. It just kind of said, you mattered to me a lot, that so that I made these arrangements to make sure that you knew how much I loved you, but also, you know, to make sure. Yeah. And she was just such a good friend for so much. And, yeah. I'm done now.
Thank you, Audrey. The next speaker is Victor Markov.
I had a little bit of trouble writing this just because I think, like many of us, I've just been rotting on the bed for the last 3 weeks, absolutely depressed. And I feel like I'm probably not the only one who has been doing that. But I just wanted to tell a little story about how Tinu saved my life. And I'm only here today because Tinu made it possible. Early this year, my family placed me in an institution that accused me of faking and tried to take away any sort of accessibility, any sort of aid help, my wheelchair. And then soon afterwards, they abandoned me in southern Florida, 1,000 miles away from where I had lived and where I had any in-person community. I had no home, I had no money, I had nothing, and I was left for dead. It has been the worst year of my life, and yet Tinu has made it feel like a breeze. She reminded me that I deserved help, that I deserved support. She taught me how to navigate mutual aid networks and fought for me even when I was too exhausted to post. Even when she was so exhausted herself, she would relentlessly make sure to call out for support for me, to write to me. And I was so wrapped in love that I couldn't feel the bludgeons. And most importantly, and most rarely, Tinu made me feel understood. And there was this particularly awful moment back in June when I was trapped in my motel room because I had 2 sand-logged wheelchair motors and I had 2 pieces of devastating news. One, a young disabled friend of mine had died. And 2, the institution had not only lied about them thinking that I was faking, but I found out through paperwork, not through an office, like with a nice little office with like a box of tissues there, but through paperwork, that the specialist who evaluated me saw clear signs of vascular EDS, which is life-limiting. And I had no way to confirm this diagnosis. And I had to sit there in this mildewy, small motel room with it raining outside, me no way to even take a walk. And I had to make peace with my uncertain, untimely death just as I was processing my friends. And I wanted to transcribe this voice message that Tinu sent me, but every time I listened to it, I just burst into tears. But I think I wanted to impart some of the wisdom that Tinu gave me over friendships and over dealing with your own death. She told me to treat your friendships like romances, to fall deeply and quickly, because so many of us, it's so common to lose people in the disability community, and you never know when you're going to wake up one morning and someone's gone. And I know a lot of y'all were already speaking about how the little trinkets that she sent. She told me about that, like how she would, if you see like just some small trinket or something that reminds you of your friend, to just buy it and send it to them, just to remind them that you were thinking of them. She was very purposeful of that. And when it came to me having to process my own young death, she told me about being 26 years old and being diagnosed with a cancer that meant that she wasn't going to live past 40. And how when you're going to die young, it's not a blessing, but it's a perspective of looking at things that it helps you see what's important in your life and helps you cut out the bullshit. And if you don't know exactly when you're going to die, then every night you need to go to the bed proud, or at least okay with everything you've done, because that might be it. I think in this process, I've learned that love and anger are two sides of the same coin, because love is so precious that you would do anything to protect it. And right now I am so angry. I am burning with vengeance. Capitalism, and I know we've said this a million times, it only values us by what we can produce. And Tinu was an empress who existed outside the bounds of capitalism. And so she was not important enough for our systems to save. And our fascist eugenist government saw her as disposable. And our systems could never see Tinu how we see her intrinsic value, for her true worth. And we loved her so much, because if it could see her true worth, her chemo pills, oh my God, her chemo pills would have been delivered on a silver platter. Her immunotherapy presented on velvet cushions. We would have diverted Air Force One to fly in the finest treatments, because we know how much she meant to us. And a community-minded society would have never, ever, ever let Tinu die. And what happened to her should never happen again. And yet we know since her death, it's already happened multiple times, and it's just going to keep happening. And I hope we can use the anger ignited by our love for Tinu to do what we can to save as many lives as we can, and to take down the systems that take away people like Tinu. Tinu, I hope when you slept for the last time, you were proud of what you did, because I know we all are. I love you and I miss you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on, but also in the interest of time, I'm going to be, before every speaker, I'm going to mention how, after the DJ announces you, I'm going to mention how much time you have to speak. And if you go past that time, we're going to have to cut you off, because we need to stay within the CART and ASL limits. Okay, Syreeta, you have 2 minutes.
I wrote a little something just to stay on track. Tinu, I love you. I still love you. When I stumbled into disability Twitter from academic Twitter in 2020, Tinu was a force that I recognize held the community up. Tinu, thank you for helping me accept me. I wasn't bold in my disability or Black identities. I once would say that I hated being Black. I didn't understand how being disabled was something to be proud of. And she helped me develop both my disability identities, and she really helped me reconcile with my Black identity as well. I got to see how funny she was for a time in Black disabled chat, which was an honor to be a part of. Tinu healed rifts that I had in who I am. Tinu taught me about mutual aid and was there for me when I financially struggled, even when she struggled. And she was a force. She was amazing. She helped me stay alive last year in the wake of my mom's passing after my suicide attempt. She was a grounding force with other friends and being a part of Syreeta's support chat to help me through the days and plan for what to do next. Being alive in part because of her is an honor. Serving with Tinu on the National Pain Advocacy Center Community Council was an honor. The last meeting she shared was with so much passion about real pain stories. My real pain story is every time I log into Twitter without seeing her tweets. My real pain story is missing her in chronic loaf and the way she would welcome me. My real pain is referring to Tinu in the past tense. As she rested in power, she shared her power with each of us to carry it on like a torch to burn down systems that attempt to burn us down. She was more amazing than any words I could put together.
Yes, yes,
And,
yes.
and I just realized that I have a private DM history with Tinu, and I want to share just a little of our conversations.
You're already at
Miss
your
Syreeta?
time, Syreeta. We have to
Okay,
keep going.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Got it.
The next speaker is Jumoke Abdullahli.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Jumoke Abdullahli. I'm just going to read from my phone, so I'll stay within the time. Atinuke Abayomi Paul was a true baby girl for the ages, a Yorubadi, if there ever was one. I'm one of the co-founders of the Triple Cripples, and Tinu had reached out to us via Twitter since when we started in 2018. And I remember a conversation that we had, just like a random back and forth between her and I. And I'd asked Tinu, what did I do to deserve you? And Tinu simply replied that you were born. And Tinu was that kind of person. She deserved a lot more from life than she got. But Tinu gave so much, as has been exampled by all the wonderful people that are here, that are still able to stay here and from far-reaching corners of the world. During the work that we did with the Triple Cripples, we were sending out T-shirts, and I'm just so grateful that we were able to send Tinu something, because even though I wasn't able to meet her, her light shone so far that it was able to reach me here across the Atlantic. And I'm just so grateful, having known her, listening to all of you talking about her, and I'm just so enamored by her name, because Atinuke, as Alessandra said, literally means being loved from before she was born. And even before she was born, Tinu was spreading that love, spreading that power, and spreading that joy. And I'm just so thankful that I've been able to get a part of that. And Tinu is certainly somebody that I hope to emulate and hope to become. So Tinu, I love you. Honorere. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Charis Hill.
Hello, everyone. Am I spotlit okay? There we go. Thank you all for being here, first of all. My name is Charis, and Tinu and I met when we joined the National Pain Advocacy Center Community Leadership Council. And during that first meeting, we both messaged each other and shared how much we looked up to each other on Twitter. And it didn't take long before we were collaborating on social media trainings. And I mean, really, we became fast friends. We got to know each other best when we were writing a chapter about the disability community's response to the first year of the COVID pandemic. God, it was so damn easy to write together. I mean, really, it was so easy to talk about anything, to go deep about our fears, deep about our dreams, to joke, to be in person together when I got to visit her in July. Our whole friendship was so easy. So easy that honestly, I'm not sure if or when I can ever go as deep as the grief is over losing her. While I didn't know Tinu for more than a handful of years, in disability time, that can be a lifetime. A lot of disabled people don't get to become elders, so we know not to take any amount of time or topics for granted. And we all know Tinu certainly didn't hold back on any topic. She was both hilarious and serious. One time I texted her sarcastically, "Tinu, but have you tried yoga?" And she replied, "Make sure that's the name of my biography." Another time, in all seriousness, she admitted to me that she wanted to win a Pulitzer Prize for her writing. How do I write something about a friend whose impact was so far-reaching? How do you summarize Tinu as a person, a friend, a pillar of the disability community? You just can't. So I want to share some of her own words from a recording she made on August 7th for a podcast that we had planned to start. We were going to call it, "How Are You Overdoing?" In these snippets, she shares her dream for her future. She says, "What I would like to see in my future, being completely accommodated, is that I live with at least 2 and up to 4 of my besties. And all my besties are disabled, so that automatically makes it a household where disability will be a central issue. I don't necessarily want it to be just one house. I would like if it was just one 5-bedroom house. That would be great. But I also think it would be cool to have maybe a cul-de-sac or a compound with 3 smaller houses in it. But the point is, I want to live in a close, physically and friendship-wise community, like a mini community with my disabled peers, and for sort of collectively hired people to help us with our day-to-day stuff. Not just like a home health aide, which I think that's going to be great. I would even like it to be a nurse or a nurse practitioner that we all get ongoing care from. Because none of us in the circle I'm thinking about necessarily needs full-time care at all times. But all of us go through our flares and our different periods where we need more care than we're getting. So I want us to have something like that, and if possible, have it pay someone who has a disability and wants to be a caregiver. And then I'd also like us to find or create homes with ramps at the doorways, with adjustable height countertops or tables with lighting that can be changed according to your access needs. And I'm hoping that little either house or bunch of houses will be able to do things like buy things in bulk and share costs across the community and cultivate a garden together. I think that would be really healthy, low-key thing that we can do to, kind of make ourselves more happy, more joyful in the actual tending of the garden. And then also maybe be able to eat some of the freshest foods that we love by having just a little garden, maybe even a small farm. I don't know if I can do farm work, but if people are interested in like having a cow or some hens or I don't know, any kind of way to participate in creating our own food, I think that would be cool. So that's what she shared. And I wanted to.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Is there a kind of time limit?
I'm almost done.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to share this because it's a recent.
Let them finish, Ron. Let them finish.
Okay, sorry.
I wanted to share this because it's a recent vision Tinu had for her future, and because I really hope she has already found this cul-de-sac and has besties where she is right now, and that she's watching us attempt to honor everything that she did. I also share her words because It's what Tinu always envisioned, a community taking care of each other. And that's what I think we need to continue to do to honor her legacy. Take care of each other in community to the best of our abilities. We miss you so damn much, Tinu. And I'm
Claudia Alick.
Hey everybody, I'm Claudia Alick. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to share my screen right now. So I'm just going to hit the share screen button and hopefully I'm doing this right. Okay, all right. Yes, I am. Well, actually, you know what? Well, I am going to start with this. This is the poem. I wanted just to feature two projects that Tinu did with Calling Up Justice. This one was a special, we gathered at midnight to do a ritual for all Black lives all over the world. And let me see if I can make sure. Well, I think this should be fine. This is a member of the former member of Black Panther Party playing the violin, and then Tinu does her poem. Did I do this right? I don't think I did this right. I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, friends. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to hit share screen again and click the share sound button, and then do this one more time. All right, y'all. I'm in my feelings. It's making me bad at tech. Okay. Here we go. Thank you. Past Tinu.
We all know that the colonizers' tools will not dismantle their house, but it can and will be dismantled. With this poem, a creation is a cycle that I dedicated to my Yoruba mother. I invoke all the mothers in my lineage to birth our next evolution as embryos of creation. And I was born. I imagine Mama smiled and cried at the woes and joys of bearing female fruit. Her tears fell into my mind like rain, watered the seeds she planted there. Pain, pride, beauty, wisdom. I know she loves me strong, because I evolved into the next version of her. And her smile still warms the fibers of my being, where cotton grows in my guilty memory, stained with strains of indigo. The sunshine reflected in her eyes shines on my soul, making me more alive. And as I grow older, I am born again and again and again and again and again.
Damn it.
Thank you. Blessings.
Woo! All right, y'all. I'm just going to show you one more screen and try to keep my words in my mouth. I just want to say that Tinu's legacy lives on. It lives on in all of us. The other project that Tinu and I worked on was this Million Mask March, which was kind of a wild idea. I was like, let's make a march where we all wear our masks, and the march will be online since none of us can leave our houses. And so we started that. And this only happened because Tinu said yes to a really random DM over Twitter. And so we manifested it. And it was so magnificent that I ended up building the national project that is now called Why Mask. And so people have been adding photographs from all over the world and all over the country. And this was started with Tinu. So I just wanted to do a shout out for that. And also just know that this project continues and Tinu continues within it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you so much for honoring Tinu.
Thank you. Okay. So our next speaker is Matilda Ibini.
Okay, great. I'll try and keep to the time. I'm a Nigerian British disabled writer based in London. I got to know and follow Tinu's work many years ago through Disability Twitter and the wonderful Twitter spaces she curated for disabled people and Black disabled people in particular. Finding her work was a breath of fresh air as a disabled person of the diaspora and wanting a better world for all. She was someone I could look up to who was unapologetic and at her very core, kind, radically kind, a kindness that reverberated all the way to me in the UK. There is a belief in Yoruba cosmology that those who achieve great things amongst their people, like a people's champion, are not only welcomed into ancestorhood, but elevated to Orisha status. It is clear that Tinu's life, work, and mission means that not only does she get to rest well, but is also honored as an Orisha. And it is of great comfort for someone like Tinu to become an ancestor Orisha that disabled people the world over can look to for guidance, inspiration, and motivation. May her legacy ricochet throughout the galaxies. Atinuke Ebi Ati Aran Shadura Fuen. Lori Ishe Owore Nigbati Wolaye. Nigbato Walaye, which translates into Yoruba. Apologies for any native Yoruba speakers. Atinuke, family and your loved ones are praying for you over a job well done whilst you are here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the next person we've got who's currently in the room is Lucina.
I got you. Lucina Kayee.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm Lucina Kayee. I'm one of the folks that run the Black Disability Collective. I wrote some. Tinu actually convinced me to write something, to apply for a grant to talk about grief. When my sister slash business partner Taylor McGee passed away from medical neglect, and then now I'm doing this because another friend passed away. That's interesting. So, grief is a force that seeps into the quietest corners of our existence, wrapping itself around us like a heavy clock, weighing us down even when we think we have shed its weight. It is not loud, it does not announce itself. Instead, it whispers, weaving through our lives until it settles deep within our bones, becoming part of us. We may convince ourselves that time has dulled its edges, that healing has come, but then in moments of joy, moments that should be pure, it strikes. Grief finds us in our laughter, in the sunlight, a shard of glass slicing through the surface, a reminder that pain never truly leaves. Grief doesn't fade away gently. It lingers, sharpens and twists, transforming the fragments we carry from others' healing journey into the splinters that embed themselves into our flesh. We absorb these pieces of hurt, not just from our own loss, but from the sorrow of those we love. We carry these invisible wounds silently, afraid to let the world see them, afraid to overwhelm those around us with our pain. And so we smile, we endure, we press on. But our bodies, the vessels we trust to protect us, begin to scream in ways we cannot hear. The sorrows bear us deeper, becoming part of our muscle, our skin, until the wounds are too deep to mend, until only scars remain to tell the story of our survival. To be Black and disabled is to walk through this world unseen, to move through spaces that refuse to acknowledge your presence or your pain. It is to bear the weight of history, of injustice, of invisibility, while still trying to live. The wounds we carry are unseen by most, but they are there, etched into our being, pulsing beneath the surface. And yet, in the face of this burden, I find solace in the belief that those we have lost, those whose physical bodies no longer walk beside us, have found each other. In a world beyond this one, they have gathered. They are no longer weighed down by the struggles of this life. They're in the water flowing with the rivers. They're in the wind drifting through the trees. They have become something else, something free. These siblings of ours, they have transformed into guardians, watching over us from a place of peace. They no longer feel the pain that once bound them to this world. Their spirits, once heavy with sorrow, are now light, resting in the space where they are truly seen, where they are finally free to exist without fear, without suffering. They are cradled in the arms of the universe, at peace in ways they never could be in life. And yet, even with this knowledge, even with this comfort, our hearts still long for them. We ache for the day when we can hold them again, when we can feel their presence beside us, as it was always meant to be. There is an emptiness that lingers, a space that cannot be filled, until we are reunited. We wait for the day, for the moment when time and loss no longer separates us, when the distance between this world and the next collapse.
We need to move on. Sorry. Thank you. If you want to post a link to that,
Thank you.
can on the Padlet. Tina.
Hi there. When we were little kids, my youngest brother's favorite movie was the Bunny movie. The Bunny movie is really called Watership Down, an animated movie based on Richard Adams's novel of the same name, a movie about rabbits at war that terrorized and or radicalized a generation of children. I turned to it when I heard that Tinu died. The rabbits have a prayer for the dead that goes, "My heart has joined the 1,000, for my friend stopped running today." That prayer means that your heart hurts so much that it's become your enemy. And God has my heart hurt these last weeks as I've tried to make sense of a world without Tinu in it. I hurt and I'm so angry. My rage has consumed my thoughts as I scream, why? Tinu and another one of my friends died from long COVID and cancer this year. Two brilliant, disabled Gen X Black women gone because of COVID, cancer, and capitalism. Why? For what reason? What becomes of the people who bring us? What becomes of the people who bring the rest of us closer to freedom? I read that in the show notes of the podcast You're Wrong About, and it resonated with me so strongly in the wake of the enormous loss of our dear Tinu. Tinu, our friend, sister, daughter, aunt, community organizer, bad bitch, spoony chatter, crowdfunding extraordinaire, and most importantly, hottie. What becomes of Tinu's love, her enormous warmth? She didn't just say hi, she exclaimed her greetings in all caps. It's a tragedy that I will never experience hugging her because I'm sure she gave a world-class hug. I love her, and Tinu loved me, and she loved this community. When Bette Midler sings of the wind beneath my wings, she's talking about Tinu. Her support was so big. Her generous praise could humble you in its sincerity. I want to see myself the way Tinu saw me. And so it's up to us. Stay angry, little Meg. You will need all your anger now, Mrs. Whatsit says in A Wrinkle in Time. But do something with that anger. Don't let your heart stay your enemy. It's up to us to keep our memories of Tinu, to pick up where she left off, and crucially, make our own mark. Tinu would want us, her people, to put our own good into the world. All the world will be your enemy, prince of 1,000 enemies. And when they catch you, they will kill you. But first, they must catch you. Digger, listener, runner, prince with the swift warning. Be cunning and full of tricks, and your people will never be destroyed. Rest well, our little rabbit, Tinu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dom Evans would be next.
Mr. Don Evans, the next speaker.
Okay, sorry about that. It wasn't letting me unmute. I'm going to try to read through this quickly, so not to take up too much time. I wasn't sure what I was going to say today because what can you say when you lose a friend that really is a part of your heart and who you know loved you more than a person could put into words? Tinu was one of my closest friends in the disability and activism community. I knew of her long before I knew her. That was back before she was actively a part of the disabled community when she was working in marketing and tech. Back in the early days of Twitter, we ran in the same circles and had the same friends and acquaintances. I had no idea back then that she would become such an important part of my life. The thing that sticks out for me about Tinu is her effortless caring for others. It didn't matter who you were or where you came from. If you needed help, Tinu was going to help you, and her help and support was endless. I know most people know that I have gone through extreme trauma and bullying, and as my work became more visible, I became a target of a lot of hatred, especially on platforms like Twitter. Tinu, May, and the Chronic Loaf community, which I was with from the beginning, protected me from massive amounts of transphobia and uplifted me and my work over and over again. People would come to her and harass her and say, "Why are you defending this boy?" And she would say, "Because he's our boy. He's ours, and we're not going to let transphobia, hatred, and theft destroy him. Oh, and by the way, he's non-binary, so get it right." When I was run off Twitter, I did what I do, I retreated, but Tinu wouldn't let me completely disappear. She would reach out to check on me. "You good? You need anything? You okay, Dom? You need me? I'm here if you need anything." When other people judged me for leaving social media, she was there to say, "It's okay, we got you. You deserve peace. You're still a part of our community. You are still a part of our group, and you're always my family." A great example of her love, especially towards me, came on my 40th birthday. I turned 40 in December 2020, which was the height of lockdown. I had announced at the beginning of 2020 before that I was going to have a huge party, a 1920s gala to celebrate the 20s. And it was going to be in person because I hadn't really had good birthdays. Well, needless to say, that didn't happen, and I was pretty crestfallen. It was a very difficult time for all of us, but I felt like I finally was going to have a chance to do something amazing for myself, and the pandemic completely canceled that opportunity. But Tinu and May suggested we celebrate in Chronic Loaf, and you know what we did for my birthday? And if you know me, this is the most me thing ever. We watched Xena Warrior Princess, Daria, and Megan Thee Stallion videos. They brought my birthday to me, and it wasn't the birthday I thought it was going to have, but it was so much more special in another way because Chronic Loaf is a family. And that's the rub. I didn't just lose a friend, I lost a part of my family. Tinu believed in me, and she believed in my work in ways nobody else does. She believed in me. She didn't just believe in, but was actively excited about all the things that Ashton and I have been working on. She was the first one who was going to line up to watch all the things I made, and my biggest regret is that she will never get to watch it with us. But I know that wherever Tinu's spirit is in this universe, she's rooting all of her family on. She'll be with us and help us from where she is, however she can. She made me a better person. She made me care more. She didn't let me retreat into myself and isolate myself, because when I couldn't believe in myself, she believed in me. You just can't replace that. May and Tinu are my sisters. We're all house pharmaceutica. I'm gonna try to. I'm so sorry. I lost one of my best friends and my big sister, but everything we do, please note, we're not gonna forget you, Tinu. All the dreams we had for a community of disabled people, I'm going to fight to make that happen, because that was your vision. You supported my vision, and we'll never forget yours. The thing that hurts the most about all this is I thought we had more time. A few years ago, Ash and I started working on projects that meant we were working long hours and had little time to be with friends and family. And I thought, when we're successful, we're going to come in Chronic Loaf and watch it all together. And it'll all be okay. It'll all be worth it. My biggest regret is that I didn't just pop in more to Chronic Loaf to be with Tinu and May and everyone. And a quick funny story about that, I promise I'm almost done. I was always forgetting my login to Chronic Loaf, and nobody ever knew who I was because I always made up a funny name, but Tinu always knew. Like, for example, my latest name is Dom's Your Mom. we're all Gen X, and she instantly knew that's Dom. And I was 80s Xenaboo. She's like, oh, there's Dom. She always knew. Tinu, your boy loves you. My sister, my family, rest easy. May and I will take care of each other and keep working towards your vision for a better world for everyone. I promise to be generous and kind to uphold your values. And one last thing, if you're not masking, knowing Tinu, knowing how she died and how she lived, how are you celebrating her legacy?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Our next speaker is Ola Ojewumi.
Hi everyone, my name is Ola Ojewumi, otherwise known as Ola's Truth on social. I really sat here and struggled to write remarks and write a speech about my relationship with Tinu because it was too painful and it was too emotional for me to put into words what she meant to me. We were both Nigerian American women. I was younger, she was older, but she was a role model to me. And we were both from the same tribe. We were both Yoruba. And she always had a protective spirit over me. She would defend me online. And even closing her account one time because of an onslaught of criticism I got and she got in response to defending me. She set the standard. I'm not a crier. This isn't me. But she set the standard for activism. And I don't want to accept a reality where she isn't here. Even when I found out that she passed away and posted about her death, I instantly got a tweet from someone who was accusing her of being a grifter. And that's the reality of being a Black disabled woman, especially one of foreign descent. She raised so much money for others, but it was that much harder for her to raise money for herself. She would still be here if we didn't live in a for-profit healthcare system. And she never stopped checking in on me. She offered me help even in my area, even though she was in Texas and I'm in DC. She even offered to connect me with her uncle, who was a doctor, given how much discrimination I was experiencing in the healthcare system here. My biggest regret was believing we had more time. I thought Tinu was just gonna survive this because that's who she is. She's a survivor. And when one of my family members comforted me about her passing, because I was in tears, they said she's in a better place now. And I'm like, how do you know that? Her better place was here with us. We wanted her. We needed her. I thought she was gonna live. And she shouldn't have had to spend her dying days trying to raise money to survive. And it's the little things that remind me of her, not seeing her updates on Twitter, not seeing her comments. And there's no lesson here, but what I had to learn the hard way was never forget to stop checking in on your friends and replying to texts. This was Tinu's last text to me on September 18th. She said, I'm saying hi and also realizing I took so much medicine just now, so I might not be awake when you write back. Why did I do this to us? I never replied back. And the next thing I hear, she's no longer awake. She's dead. I never got a chance to tell her that I loved her. I never got a chance to thank her for everything she did for me. I was so exhausted and wrapped up in my own world that I couldn't recognize that would be the last time I'd hear from her. And it's my greatest regret that I didn't reply. So I just want to end this with saying I love you, Tinu. And I will do anything to make your legacy live on. Thank you guys for allowing me to speak and for organizing this homegoing.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, we got to give her a round of applause. She put this together. You did a great job, young lady. Maelee Johnson.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. I hope everybody can hear me, and I'm talking a little quietly. Um, everything everyone said today was so beautiful and absolutely true. Like everything everyone said was so true about Tinu. And I'm so glad we all got this opportunity to say it. And I was thinking too, I'm so glad it's recorded so we can listen to it again. Because Tinu is like such a complicated person. You know that Shrek joke, like I'm an onion? It's like, but really, like that bitch had layers. And so she could really be like 10 different things to you. And then like also 6 different things to somebody else and 4 different things to another friend of yours. And it's like that bitch was everything. Like when you say somebody was everything, like she was everything. It's really hard to like, it's ineffable the impact of somebody like that. And it's nice to know that at least it's felt, you know, like a lot of people, their impact isn't acknowledged and it's just as worthy and it's just as felt, it's just as important. And I think that in a community where so many of us are at home in our rooms doing the most, and you don't know if your impact is felt, I feel like she's once again making us all feel represented and making us all feel like you do build that legacy from your bedroom. Like you can build that legacy even while still every day for you is a battle or an ordeal with the healthcare system or a personal journey of acceptance with your own body. I just will never stop appreciating her. When I was a kid, my mom used to pray for me to have a best friend because it was so hard for me to make friends. Like I'm so autistic. And like being a little Black autistic girl ain't easy, especially when you're very loud. Like the aggressive version, not the quiet version. And so, like when you meet that friend where you're like, that's my soulmate, it always felt like an answer to my mom's prayer. And I know that she's still going to be my soulmate for the rest of my life. You know, like when you're Black and you're like, for real, like you might be my cousin. Me and Tina used to always be like, I swear to God, bitch, you might be my cousin. Like, we need to do 23andMe because, like, you might be my cousin. And I was just like, always felt like she was the person I was meant to just find in life. And I was so lucky to have her. And I know everybody here feels the same way. Like, no matter what way you found her, like, if you found her as a friend, if you found her as a teacher, like, I love to say, like, she's a co-conspirator. Like, that's doing, like, #1 ride or die, bitch. Like, Tina would be down for some mischief. And she's an amazing co-conspirator to have in your life. Okay, bitch? Like she was someone you wanted to Golden Girls with in your life. And it's hard to, and she's not the first person we've lost like this. And the worst part is knowing that how bad this system is. Like, this is what we do. Because, like, when you lose the best people, and we always lose the best people. It's really hard to feel like it's not too late. Because it's not. There's still, everyone out here is amazing, and we have to fight every day to save every one of us and to protect every one of us. But it's so hard not to feel that too late feeling when you lose somebody so amazing. I hope we all listen to music and think about her. And I hope we all dance when we think about her. And I hope we all eat good ass food and we think about her. I hope we all, like, even when you're broke as fuck and you're like using all your coins just to like pay your electric bill and pay your rent, you square away just a little bit of money so you could take a like tiny little vacation, just like a 2-day getaway, so you could just sleep in a hotel and like eat eat off of, like, you got a Postmates, bitch, okay, like you bougie today. Like, yeah, you couldn't afford it, but you needed that. Like, splurge, spend that $300 and you think about her. When you see something on sale that you really wanted for a long time, but you don't need it, you do not need that shit at all, buy that shit and think about her. She would be right there like, you better buy that. You better buy that Goonies lunchbox collectible. It don't even open anymore, but it's still technically the lunchbox. Buy it, put it on the shelf. You're thinking like, should I spend $60 to get a weighted blanket? Yes. Because Tina would tell you to do it. When someone tells you you're being selfish when you set a boundary, you're like, bitch, ho, no, I'm not. Respect me. Because that's what Tina would tell you to do. An existential crisis is just an opportunity to realize you're exactly where you want to be at. And you're doing exactly what you want to do. And Tina would tell you that every time. You know, we all love her. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for loving her. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I want to read a message from Tinu's sister, Tayo, Tayo, who was unable to be here today, but wrote this and asked for us to share it. So I'll read directly. Hi, I thought I would leave to attending today, but I can't do it. I'm not ready to speak about her. From her sister Tayo, on behalf of Tinu's family, We would like to thank everyone for the tremendous outpouring of love and support. I had hoped to attend today, but I'm not there yet. We are eternally grateful for the condolences and all the stories shared of how she touched your lives. The weight of the grief that has been shared is a testament of just how much she was loved and will be missed. In our culture, when events like this happen, we share prayers that this kind of sorrow and loss will not happen again. Love on each other, call your loved ones, tell them you love them, forgive each other. May you never experience this kind of loss and grief again. Again, thank you. So those are from her sister Tayo, and I wanted to extend a big thank you to all of the people who helped put this event together today, all of the people on our program who shared today, to our DJ Ron, who will continue to be with us for a time, to our ASL interpreters David and Lavender. Especially thank you to Pro Bono ASL for providing ASL access, for our CART services through archive captioning, the captioner Kelly, Kelly. A big shout out to Calling Up Justice, Claudia Alick, for their gracious and caring presence and their knowledge sharing, and for putting together a memory link where we can all share memories of Tinu. A big thank you for the organizations and individuals who have sponsored our accessibility services of ASL and CART. And we would also like to thank all of the other people who have helped behind the scenes to moderate, to admit people, to do all of the tech and moderation things. You know who you are, thank you. We are now transitioning to an unprogrammed part of this event. So you are all welcome to remain and commiserate casually as her community and celebrate our beloved friend together. She always wanted this to be a big party, so let's do right by her wishes. And as an access note, ASL and CART will be available until right now. And so the rest of the unprogrammed event will no longer have ASL and CART services. So thank you all so much. Take care of each other, and we love you all. Hey y'all, it's Charis. Just while Alex gets sorted, I just wanted to encourage you all to keep sharing memories in the chat and keep sharing memories using the Padlet link that Claudia put together. It's been glorious seeing your reactions, seeing your laughter, talk about pets, etc. And I look forward to continuing to read these messages. So just hang tight while we transfer everything over to Alex to take care of co-hosting and hosting.